Find the configuration file for NFS mounts and save its name in File. I can't find an example of this in the login and system documentation part of this course, nor in my notes. And I don't remember taking notes on this. The lab is titled Logging In and System Documentation. What does saving a file have to do with logging in and system documentation? Oh, I see there's a hint. Let's click on that hint and see what it tells me. You can use a command like apropos NFS mounts. Okay, now what? Let's scroll down. Oh, here is the configuration file. nfsmount.conf, open parentheses 5, close parentheses. Configuration file for NFS mounts. How do we save that name in Z file? Let's look at the next module. Here it says that to create a new file, you type touch in front of the name of the file you want to create. But the exercise here is not asking to create a new file. It is asking to find out the configuration file for NFS mounts and save its name in a file with the name they specified. Let's look at the solution. I understand the first two steps with the apropos command. What's this? Create the required file and save the config file name in it. And they have this command, vi space /home/bob/NFS. Do I type in that command at the prompt? What happens if I type in that command? It looks like nothing is happening. I was not done yet. Why you shut down on me? Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm drinking my coffee black right now. So I have periods where I'll make a concoction of my coffee, and then I'll have periods where I drink it black. Can I show it to you without spilling it onto my keyboard? Take my word for it. Let's see if we can do this. Can you see? Can you see? It's black. Anyways, welcome back to my channel, folks. How are you doing today? In this video, I'm going to take you through my experiences going through the first two modules of the Linux Crash Course for Beginners with Labs from freecodecamp.org. I completed these modules in about 4 days, not 4 full days. I took time out each day to sit down and focus on this part of the course, and here's how I did this. On day 1, I watched each module with the captions turned on, and I took notes in my little netbook, notebook, Asus tablet that thinks it's a laptop. Here, I use this. Some of you asked me about this little machine and if I would recommend it. I will create a separate video on this. That's a deeper conversation, but I used this to take some notes while I was watching the video. And I took notes on an open office document. This took me about 2 hours because I'm pretty detail oriented when I take notes. So I'd watch the video with the captions on, I'd take down notes. If I missed something, I would stop the video and rewind it a little bit to catch what I missed and write that in my document because I like to take detailed notes. Then I went on and completed a lab while screen recording it for content, of course, but also I wanted to review my steps in completing each exercise. The lab itself was timed for about an hour. No pressure there. And it had a countdown clock. So the total amount I spent on day one was about 3 hours. There were exercises that were straightforward, where the information was available through the modules aligned with the lab. For example, the exercise on the SSH command, which went like this. The SSH command has an option to display its version number. Use man to find out what is the correct command line option. The solution to this was to type at the prompt man1 SSH and then scroll down the text to find the correct command line option. Then there were some of the exercises that were more challenging because I could not find the information needed to solve the exercises in the video, in the notes I took for the first 2 modules, and in the downloadable PDF. Here are some questions that threw me for a loop. While I could not find the information to work through them in my notes, the cool thing is that each lab exercise has a hint tab to click on to help jog your memory, and also a solution tab when you feel you have exhausted all ends. There is also an AI assistant that you can go to for help when you have reached the end of your rope and all you can do is tie a knot at the end and hang on for dear life. I did not use the AI assistant till day 4. On day 2, I rewatched the modules on the login and system documentation and compared the information presented with my notes. The information I missed, I used to enhance my notes. Then I remembered the PDF download provided with the course when you created your account with CodeCloud. The PDF is a digital print version of the course. It has screenshots of the examples they provide, and it's pretty much a transcript of what was taught in the course, the words that were said in the course. On day 3, I watched the screen recording of me completing the labs with my notes and the PDF download open. I created a new document to take notes on each exercise. Essentially, I wrote down each exercise, looked in my notes and the PDF for information related to that exercise, and typed that information underneath. Then I proceeded to work through the exercise and wrote down my thought process and how I got to the solution. Yes, I know that this could look a little bit insane to some of you. However, I feel that the exercises provided in the lab were important to understand in order to move forward to the next modules, and hence something to really take note of. This is my method to learn new concepts. In fact, I just watched a video by the Math Sorcerer, and he was talking about learning something new, learning math, and how to learn better. In fact, he was responding to an email of one of his viewers, and he spoke about taking the math problem and writing it down and working through it and writing it down. And in my previous video, I spoke about writing stuff down, handwriting stuff down, and typing stuff down. And that handwriting stuff down is something that will help you remember things a little bit better. But typing, because Linux is so vast, typing is going to be a little bit faster. But me typing down each exercise helps me to remember it better and to process it better. That's what works for me. And maybe it's something that might work for you. 2 of the exercises drove me nuts when I went through the lab the first time around, because I could not find much information within the first 2 modules of the course. I had it in my head that all the information that I needed to go through the lab that was aligned with the first 2 modules of the course was going to be found in the first 2 modules of the course. I had to move on to the next module in the PDF, which did provide a little bit more information. Based on the information I did find, I wrote a plan, or typed out a plan, of what I would do the second time I went through the lab. On day 4, armed with my notes from the previous lab run, I went through the lab again, screen recorded it, and I was able to complete it quicker. The exercises that took more time were the ones I had to create a file for, exercise 8, and the one where I had to find the command line, or the command line name, and create a file to save that name to. I did refer to the solution for exercise 8. and it was relatable to what I had already learned in the first 2 modules. However, with exercise 10, I could not find anything in the PDF document or in my notes or in the video of the first 2 modules that I watched. My point here is that perhaps it's an old way of thinking that, okay, I watched these 2 modules and then the questions would be aligned to the information that was presented in the 2 modules. But perhaps it's time to start thinking out of the box and look for your answers elsewhere, not to be constricted to one small area. I got frustrated with exercise 10 because I typed in a command and the screen reacted, and then I couldn't return back to the old screen. And I was at my wit's end trying to figure out how could I do that. So based on what I found in the PDF, I wrote out in my notes what I would try the 3rd time around, because of course I did the labs again a 3rd time. Why not? Repetition is good. Then I repeated the lab for the 3rd time. I zoomed through the first 7 exercises because I already understood them. And when I got to exercise 8, I screen recorded what I did for exercises 8 through 10. I spent a good amount of time on exercise 10, trying everything that I planned to do to no avail. I finally enlisted the help of the AI assistant. I typed in this. And it was quite helpful because it listed exactly what I needed to do and provided other ways to arrive at the same solution. It confirmed that the information I needed to solve this exercise was not found in the first 2 modules of the course for the lab that was designed for the first 2 modules. I read the comments below the course. Some viewers stated what I was feeling in that some things did not align. One viewer asked about a lab that was missing. At the end of the lab, you fill out a short survey about your experience with the lab and if you experience challenges, whatnot. This shows that the creators of this experience want to see how they can improve it. At least that's what I believe. Perhaps some of the comments provided by the viewers were also included in that short survey. I don't know. I do find the comments helpful because it shows that I wasn't the only one experiencing these challenges. The biggest challenge was not to let my overthinking overwhelm me. Yes, the biggest challenge was not to let my overthinking overwhelm me. Thinking that everything has to be in a set order. That all the information for the first lab had to be found within the first 2 modules of the course. It's time to think outside of the box because that is not always the case. Hear me out on this one. When I first started the lab, it took me a moment to get the ball rolling into responding to the first exercise. I don't know about you, but it is hard not to revert back to your school days and the uneasy feeling of taking an exam, a test, being called on when you don't know the answer. As I was never really good taking tests and exams back in the days. And a side note, someone said, there was a comment I read which I really loved, and I took that as a huge compliment, and it said, the comment said, I bet you hung out in the art room in high school. Well, it was not exactly the art room. I hung out in the music room. So I played instruments. I played trumpet, flute. I'm a piano player. And I wanted to learn the violin and all that stuff. So yeah, I was never really good at taking exams. Coming back to doing the labs. It took me a moment to snap out of it and focus back to the present, to really read in and hone in on the words that were in front of me. When I did that, I realized something and experienced a paradigm shift. I know it sounds kind of grand, paradigm shift, but it was something that I had already experienced. But it's like a moment that you have to remind yourself of this, and it's this. The exercises are not test questions to prove how much you do not know. The exercises are exercises to practice what you just learned and to keep on practicing till mastery. The fact that I didn't find the information for 2 of the questions is not something on the creators of the course. Perhaps they had it there and then they took it out, or it probably was edited out and then they forgot to edit it out of the lab. Or perhaps it was thrown in there to challenge the person taking the course to see if you can think out of the box a little bit and not be focused on all the answers are going to come out of this section of the course. But how creative are you to find the solution of what you want to, of the exercise that you're practicing with? I appreciate what was stated at the start of the course with respect to the labs. You can repeat each lab as often as you want until you felt comfortable moving on to the next level. Remember, repetition is key when learning something new. And also remember what I told you in my last video. If you don't get something right away, that is not a reflection on you. Use your superpowers to read and reread the concepts and practice over and over again, and continue to be consistent and persistent in learning and practicing a new skill until you are comfortable to move on to the next level. Cool beans? Okay. Habichuelas chéveres. I am also happy that I thought of screen recording myself, completing the labs. What better way to review the steps you take and to reflect and figure out how you can improve? Here's where you stop your overthinking in its tracks. And I may have already spoken on this earlier. But what can you do when things usually don't go the way you want or expect them to? Which is usually all the time. I like to write out my thoughts, answering a series of questions that was shared with me when one goes through frustrating moments. You can have them saved to a note on your phone or written out in a page in your agenda or journal. Writing things out usually helps put things into perspective. Have you ever heard about when you're angry with someone, perhaps a coworker, you write an angry email or you write an angry letter and then you delete it? You don't send the email. Don't send the email. Do not do that. Okay? The same thing goes with this. Writing things out usually helps put things into perspective. You can vent on paper and paper will never judge you. Seeing your own words most of the time is all you need to shift your intention and focus on manifesting good. Here are the questions in short form. 1. What is making me frustrated right now? 2. How is that person or situation making me frustrated? 3. Why am I allowing that person or situation to frustrate me? Now you ask yourself each question and you handwrite the answer to yourself or type it in your phone. And then you take a moment to read through what you responded to each question. After you read your answers to question 1 through 3, now write down 3 things that you are now happy and grateful for. Gratitude. Yes, you conquer anxiety with gratitude. You conquer frustration with gratitude. Because frustration and anxiety kind of go hand in hand. Conquer it with gratitude. And once you have done that, the final thing you write is how you plan to respond the next time you experience frustration in any shape, way, or form. So let's take what I just experienced as an example. What was making me frustrated? The fact that I could not provide solutions to all the exercises in a specific time frame and correctly. I wanted things to flow. I expected to see the exercise, find the information required to solve the exercise, and do it bam, 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 all my ducks in a row. But that did not happen, and that's what made me frustrated. Question 2, how was the situation making me frustrated? Because I couldn't find the solution to certain exercises in the assigned modules that were aligned to the course. I didn't find it right there. I wanted to find it there in the first 2 modules, because for me, the first 2 modules are aligned with the lab, and everything had to be found in the 2 modules. So in essence, I limited myself in the search for solutions at the start of doing the lab. 3. Why was I allowing that situation to frustrate me? As a recovering perfectionist, I expected the course and labs to be completed in a set way, in a certain way. Most likely due to programming to learn a certain way when I was in school. You can't limit creative types. We are free spirits. But yes, we have to be disciplined, but we are still a free spirit. Now, write down 3 things that you are now happy and grateful for. The first thing that I am happy and grateful for is the opportunity. Opportunities like this free course to learn new and exciting things. They're out there. YouTube, make YouTube your university. YouTube and Google. The second thing, I'm so happy and grateful that now we can return and repeat the labs as often as we want until we are comfortable to move on to the next level. And the third thing, I am so happy and grateful that now I am learning to be resourceful in learning new concepts and be resourceful in seeking out solutions to the exercises. How do I plan to respond the next time I experience frustration in any shape or form? Well, I will take a moment to breathe, step back and breathe, to assess the situation. And I've done a lot of work on myself to reach this point. Take a moment, pause, breathe, step back and assess the situation. I will look over the questions I just provided you, saved in my notes or in my journal, in my agenda. I read them, mentally process my answers, or if I have a notebook on hand, I will handwrite my answers out and review them. With respect to taking the rest of this course, I understand that now not all solutions may be found in the modules aligned with the labs, and to be resourceful in looking into other avenues for them, such as these books I recently purchased. Give me a second. Excuse me. A kind viewer suggested these books to purchase. Master Linux Commands by Patrick Fromager and the Linux Terminal, Quick Guide for Beginners. I'll leave them in the description below if you're interested. That's one form. Also typing in search, looking at other videos, because the solutions are out there. I will also continue to screen record myself completing the labs, of course for content, but also to review my steps, and I will take notes on them. Wash, rinse, and repeat. If you made it this far, you're one of the good ones. You're amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate all of you current subscribers and new subscribers. Welcome. I will continue my journey through this crash course with labs and take you along with me. If you like the content I share, please give this video a like and consider subscribing so that we can reach more amazing, awesome sauce people just like you. Thanks again for stopping by. See you in the next upload. Cheers.